Let me into my zone. Please don't let me into my zone. 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 Please don't let me.
Well. Welcome to this next week of Krown's Crypto Cave. My God, man, that came out wrong. You know what? I want to say happy Monday to everyone out there. Happy holidays, whatever holiday you might be celebrating today, or if it's just another Monday. Well, you know what? Happy fucking Monday, anyways. We got plenty to talk about. I want to follow up from yesterday's live trade. I want to follow up on kind of the new opportunities that are staring us in the face this week, and I also want to remind myself to talk about Twitch. We've been doing these live streams on Twitch every day, like pretty much every day. Kind of in place of the YouTube live streams. They've been phenomenally fucking fun. The focus isn't so much on like shit coins and whatnot. Focus is more on like Bitcoin and then maybe a few equities and Forex here, which is what I want to focus on more. Completely happy to talk about that. And we'll actually be speaking about that in this video, of course, as well. But I will leave a link in the description of this video to the Twitch channel, probably also the Mixer channel as well. They're pretty much the same thing, really. And we can go from there. Again, been a phenomenal time. So I want to say massive thank you to everyone who's been coming out to those, because it's just been fun, man. Is what it's been. It's kind of like brought back the spark, so to speak, that I feel like we had. That might have dissipated a little bit during the good old bull. Anyways, the good old bullshit. Perhaps betterly said. Anyways, I can't even speak English today, but what I would like to say is that all programs are on sale. For 20% off. No code is needed. It's just the link to the website, which is in the description of this video, the crowntrading.net website, that is. And again, no code is needed. I always want to make sure, though, I always want to scare people off before they even get interested in something like this. Make sure that you have enough time to actually make use of these programs. They are 35 hours plus long each, actually probably more than that, because I've added more and more video content to them over time. But the big thing with that is that you're not going to be able to make the most out of it if you don't have the fucking time. And more importantly, these are really meant to be viewed multiple iterations over your career as you come to a deeper and deeper understanding of the content that it will evolve, essentially. So if you don't have the time, you won't be able to make use of that. And you can't really expect good results. So with regards to that, I do want to say that the TA program is the one that is all-encompassing. It's not just technical analysis. It's also understanding underlying market dynamics, position management, risk management, and much more. About double that content in the bonus section. And also comes with access to the Discord community, the members Discord community, and of course access to 2 proprietary indicators as well. The Master Your Options program is a much more complicated program, even less applicable to more people, and is only focused on the derivatives products options, what I'm trying to say there. And for all the people asking about the Jewel, we'll be bringing that back relatively soon. I know I said last week, I apologize about that, but I've now since learned to be a little bit less intensive with the dates that I name, because, well, when it comes to programming, all sorts of things can pop up. So we are taking a little bit more time with this because we want to make it as robust as possible before launching once again. And again, it's for the best of everything. So this sale is still going on for the next 3 days and 17 hours. I'll make another post, or make a post on Discord, because I haven't even done that yet. Maybe the worst promoter of my own shit. It's fucking ridiculous. But I'll probably make a post a little bit later today. And again, no code is needed, and I feel like I'm missing something with that, but you know what? It'll come to me later. Zero preparation for this one, just looking at charts beforehand. Anyways, what else we got? Yes, Jackie's mentoring group is going to be starting pretty damn soon. At the end of the first week of January of 2020, so about a week away now, actually, as we are getting very, very close to 2020. And I have a link to that in the description of this video as well. Definitely go check out some videos that we've done with Jackie. He is the guy for psychological content. So I highly recommend him. And with that said, what else do we have? I think it's time to get into the analysis, man. All right, so hey, wishing you the best of the best. Also the happiest of the happiest. Let's talk about some fucking magic into money right now. And let's get into it right here. Bitcoin did hit our target of about 7,500. Actually, a little bit higher than that. 7,524.5 is what we did hit. And we have filled out once again, the top side of the range on the 2-day total time frame. So this is the most important thing, in my opinion, for judging Bitcoin's next sort of move, so to speak. And as long as we are below the yellow 21 exponential moving average on the 2-day and above the 377 exponential moving average on the 2-day, we are still consolidating. I do think that this still has a little bit more time to tighten up within this region. I do think that we'll probably get resolution on this at the end of the first week in January, maybe second week January, somewhere around there. As you can see, the volume starts to really dissipate around that time. If I start to draw a regression out right on over here, you can imagine that it's about 69 to 75% full, around the first week of January ending time, which means that it's very, 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 very likely, statistically speaking, to break the range one way or the other from that territory around that time. Now the thing is that, let's go to a fresher chart perhaps. The thing is that, if you are bearish, you're looking at this as a descending triangle, and you're looking at this as a descending triangle that also has potentially hidden bearish divergence in play. However, we have not confirmed that just yet. We'd really need to violate about 7,200 to the downside once again, and then yes, could very easily target another move down to like 6950-ish region. But for now, that's what the bear is going to be looking at. The bulls are going to be looking at this as a descending broadening wedge, which is also valid as well. The descending broadening wedge shown right here, and descending broadening wedges typically do break out to the upside. So if we do break out to the upside here, which I would say would be confirmed with a daily total close above about 75, let's call it 75.50, just above this last prior high right here, then the measure move actually would be putting us up all the way towards about 8,400, 8,500, which now we finally have something in that next targeted area that I've been speaking about. Now, before it was just kind of, I was just kind of going off it because it's like, well, it just kind of makes sense, really. Just seeing things too many times to kind of call that area as an area of interest, even though, yes, from a shorter term time frame perspective, we are going to have this guy right around here, right around about 78 to 7,900 in this area right here. I do think that very, very short term, we probably would have a little bit of a pullback from that region, but any sort of a daily total close, especially above this hump at about 75.50, and also this guy right here. And yes, I would be ultimately looking at the very least for a move to about 78, 7,900, and very, very likely up here to fulfill the measure move off this ascending broadening wedge. Now, to the other point, and this is completely valid as well, and actually I would say this has even more validity to it. On the 2-day, we do have a descending triangle. So this is what the bears are looking at. And if we do break below the bottom support of this at about 6,900, excuse me, as I do a very unprofessional yawn. My bad. Very unprofessional using the term fucking dildos. Jesus Christ. If you come here for professional shit, well, there's plenty of other people who will put on a suit and tie for you and pretend, will act as that. Well, today we're going to talk about some very serious analysis with the cryptocurrency Bitcoin. Yeah, magic internet money, and most of it's bullshit. Unfortunately, if anyone's telling you anything else, well, that's up to them, man. But, looking at this asset right here, yes, we do have a descending triangle right here, and bottom side support would be around 6,900. If we do break that, then it would actually initiate a measure move all the way down here towards about 61 to 6,200, which actually would be in line with this long-term descending channel, which actually descending channels typically do break out to the upside. But a timing component is not implied of that, and we can stay within this channel for years, really. I mean, it's, there's no timing component of it. So until we actually break it to the top side above this guy right here, nothing, nothing really new to report, actually. Anyways, as it stands right now, as long as we are below the 21 exponential moving average, this is still declining highs, still declining tops on the 2-day. So while we did hit yesterday's target a little bit above 7,500-ish region and then sold off immediately from there, I'm not really making a call on this range right here, right now. We're quite literally in the middle of this range, and that to me is like a complete no trade zone. Now, what I would say is if we're going down to the lower time frames, the obvious thing to be looking for today is the one that everyone and their fucking mother has made a meme of, and that is good old gap boy trading. And we do have a nice gap from Friday's close at around 7,250, 7,300-ish region, and that has yet to be fulfilled. And I do think that we likely fulfill this one down around about 7,250 to 7,300. We do see about a Actually, funnily enough, man, we see about a $60 to $70 premium on CME futures right now. So we do see, once again, not backwardation, but contango. And we do see that, well, the futures actually have a premium on them. So that would be a little bit more on the bullish side as well. Derivatives are suggesting a little more up longer term than down. usually gets the sentiment right actually in trends like this, and we've been downtrending for quite some time. So to see something like that is interesting, is of note. However, very, 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 very low time frames. I do think that we very, very likely, statistically speaking, come down and fill this area somewhere around 7,300, maybe 7,250-ish region, somewhere around there. That would be considered filled, and I'd probably be looking for another bouncy bounce above that region. Now, here's where things start to change from the lower term time frames, though, and maybe we can go back to BitMexico for this one. In fact, here's where things start to change once again for the lower term timeframes. If we do violate this low right here, which has basically gotten our last spike low on the 27th of December, if we violate that low by closing even like a 2-hour dildo below this area, which would be about 7,100, so it's well below the gap actually, then yes, I do think that Bitcoin's going to come all the way back down, not just to this blue box, but actually significantly further down than that. Well, maybe not significantly further down than that, but another step down here to the bottom side of the range, which would be right around 6,850 to 6,900, or sorry, it's a little bit higher than that, about 6,850 to 6,950 in this blue box territory right around here. But until we actually violate this area right here, I do think that we probably have a little bit of short term down to fulfill the gap, but it's not until we really violate 7,100 is like the obvious area. And if you want a little bit more of an aggressive way of doing this, let me just make sure that I'm recording. Yes, I am. The microphone's also working as well, so great. A little bit more of an aggressive way of doing this would be just looking at CME's last little prior low, which was 7,200. So any sort of a 2-hour dildo close below there, and yes, I do think that we will see that move inevitably come down, below 7,000 once again, probably somewhere right around here, around this little stutter step, which would be about 69 to 6950-ish region. So of course, doing things a little bit more aggressively, not always going to be the picture of perfect, but if that were to happen, I would be ultimately looking lower. But remember, resolution on the bigger range is still not going to be had until we either close dailies above, let's call it like 7,550, even a 12-hour would probably be fine, or below like 6,900 and especially 6,850. Those are where the big inflection points happen, and probably where another $1,000 move can be catalyzed by, well, to the downside a little bit less than that, I suppose, but you get the point. Anyways, longer term, of course, nothing's really changed here. We still see an overall downtrend on the higher time frames. The weekly right here, which does matter the most for Bitcoin's history, essentially. We did have a decent enough close on the weekly, back above the Cyan 89 exponential average right here, but it's not. It doesn't really give us too much. If we would have closed below the 89, yes, it would have been a good sign that we are going to test some downside. Closing above doesn't necessarily like save Bitcoin. It just it gives it. I would say it continues the range, most likely, is what we're looking at here, with the 55 gauging the upside of the range and the Cyan 89 gauging the downside of the range on a weekly closing basis. So we haven't really gotten any concrete things by this, unfortunately. We do potentially have a higher low in place on the weekly, however, which I think is a little bit interesting here, compared from the 6,850 close to the 7,100 close right here. But we're not really doing anything different until we get a higher high. So we have certainly, we've certainly seen little stutter steps in the past that amount to nothing, and this is why both facets of an actual reversal are needed to officially recall a reversal. And those reversal calls in Bitcoin's history have all been pretty much perfect. So any weekly trend reversal has led to the major massive gains that I think a lot of people are interested in an asset like this. Looking at our momentum oscillators, we do see weekly Stokes pointed back up. In fact, holding the same trend line that we see born all the way back from here in February of this year. So almost a year-long trend line, bouncing up above there. So okay. Weekly RSI is still problematic. This is still a very bearish RSI. In fact, we do have hidden bearish divergence on the RSI, in fact. So if Bitcoin does fail to get continuation this week, this will very, 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 very likely come back down to about 68, 6,900. That is if Bitcoin fails to get continuation this week. So basically in 1 week from now, if we're not closing back above, let's call it like 7,550, then very likely we will just inevitably go down. But But as this, as we spoke about in lower time frames already, we are looking for resolution actually a little bit before the end of the week. So this does line up quite well, and it would suggest that we probably do see a nice move somewhere around the end of the week, this coming week. And if it does come to the upside, well, it's gonna be kind of like a ticking time bomb here, I suppose. Anyways, what else do we want to talk about? I would say that the weekly RSI is very problematic, though. I do want to be on record saying that. That's probably one of the more bearish things for me. And of course, because we are getting to the end of the month here, let's go look at the monthly. And the monthly is a few things going on, of course. As of right now, we are above the yellow 21 exponential moving average. And keep in mind that the monthly is going to close before the weekly. We get the monthly close tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So if we do close above the 21, it's not the most bullish thing of all time, but it doesn't give me clarity on the bearish situation. If we close below the 21 on the monthly tomorrow night, which again is 7,100, then I can immediately get very, very bearish and look for a move, over the next month or two down into, actually below 6,000, most likely, like 5,500 is where I'd be looking towards essentially. We do see momentum oscillators are certainly more on the bearish side. We see monthly Stokes rejecting the bullish control zone and down. We see monthly RSI rejecting the bullish control zone, rejecting the exponential and down. The RSI, again, especially problematic. I also want to bring up a couple other things like the accumulation distribution indicator, which I only look at a few times a month because it doesn't really change all that much. But looking at it right here, what do we see? We actually still have a positive slope. The slope has lessened. The slope certainly has lessened. So what I want to see coming into the next month's open is, does this slope lose its curvature, or does it actually start to gain momentum back up to the upside? If we are going to bottom here, if 7,000 quite literally is the low of this cycle, I would expect to see this not flatten out any further. I'd expect to see it stay kind of in its current trajectory, or even increase the slope a little bit. In fact, increasing the slope would be a very obvious sign that we have bottomed. But assuming that, we don't go flat, that would more or less be bullish longer term. As the slope of this has gotten things more or less right on the macro. Again, the macro being, the monthly here, or like the super macro, I suppose. So yes, as it stands right now, it's still a little bit more angled towards a little bit more of a positive resolution if you are bullish, but a lot of work needs to be done between now and tomorrow's close. So a lot of things can happen, of course. That's more than 24 hours of, it's also more than 25 hours of trading as well. But, to put the point to rest, obviously that's a fucking eternity in cryptocurrency land. Let's go check out expected moves chart with regards to historical volatility percentile. And what do we see here? We see that the first deviation is still accurately getting our range. So we're having a nice orderly consolidation within this region. That's what this tells me when price action just kind of hangs out without really breaching the first deviation. We're just in a nice consolidation. And in this sense, it is looking more and more healthy. It's looking more and more constructive. The longer that it holds within here, the more and more of a bullish case that does present. The reason why I say that is because look at this. Look at the first deviation. Where's the top side of it? The top side of it is actually at 7,600, which would be above that critical 7,550-ish region on a daily total closing basis. And the first deviation to the downside is actually 7,150. So even if we came all the way down to the first deviation on the downside, which would likely act as support, we're not going to be breaking the critical region of 60, let's call it 6,900. In fact, even the second standard deviation is still a little bit above that region. So it's actually less than 5% chance, or just one side of that. So about 2.5% chance really. And to the upside, it's about 16% chance, that it happens. It's in fact actually within that region. So it is more likely right now. The longer that we go sideways, the better that Bitcoin does look. So going sideways here, better for Bitcoin. Especially at this level, as long as it doesn't break down. But remember, the monthly close tomorrow trumps all. The monthly close trumps all tomorrow. Anyways, let's see. Let's go through the 3-day. See what the 3-day is looking like. 3-day had a very good close. It looks like it wants to push off the 200 exponential moving average. Looking at the 3-day, I think that we're going to get another move towards 76, 76.50. I actually do think that we're going to see something like that. We do see 3-day Stokes, very, very much erect right there. We do see 3-day RSI. Again, problematic, but problematic. I don't really have an excuse to make for that. So fair enough. It does look to me though that it wants to kind of buck the trend here and get another wick up there. Let's see. What about 2-day? What's a 2-day looking like? 2-day RSI, again, problematic, but problematic. We will see the 2-day close later tonight. If it does close like this as a rejection of the 21, that's again a little bit problematic as well. 2-day Stokes would actually be more of like a bearish reset. In fact, looking at this coming all the way back from June of 2019, so that was about half a year ago. This has been getting our highs since basically the high at 14,000. So got this high, got this high, got this high, and once again, if we do start to turn down at this level, this would imply that we are looking at another macro high. So I want to present both sides accurately because I actually do want to be a little more neutral here. Now, of course, like I said, the trend is your friend until the end of the trend, but we can maintain the weekly trend. We can maintain the weekly trend as a downtrend and still literally pop up all the way to, even like $9,000. Our last prior high was right here, so 9,500. So we aren't really changed around the weekly trend until we actually close the weekly back above there. Which I know is quite frustrating, but it does offer the potential that we could very easily rally up into this blue box at that, at that descending broadening wedge target to like 84, 8,500, reject from there and maintain the long-term downtrend. That's the problem with this right now. It's the problem with being bullish right now is that Bitcoin has so much work to do that we could have like a $2,000 move and still technically not be in an uptrend, although a $2,000 move is very tradable, but I have to be careful with my words because those sorts of things can be easily misunderstood. But as far as it is right now, daily still looking okay. We're about to see a confirmed cross the red 10 simple above the yellow 21. I would say any sort of a daily total close above this region, above about I suppose anywhere above 7,300 really, and that will happen. And yes, I would look for an extension to 76, 7650ish region, very very likely. Let's go check out the 12-hour. What's a 12-hour looking like? 12-hour Stokes cross back up. Again, blindly trading these have been pretty fucking phenomenal, even though I hate to say that, but it's true. 12-hour RSI, neutral, neither bullish nor bearish. What about 10-hour? Don't really have. Do we see anything obvious here? 10-hour Stokes popping back up into that same resistance zone, kind of, not quite there just yet though. Not really getting too much from that. 10-hour RSI, neutral, a little bit problematic as well. We do not have any sort of divergence in play, but historical volatility percentile on the higher time frames absolutely crushed here. So I really do think that we actually see a pretty big move. Probably end of week. Your 10-hour and your lower time frame volatilities or your historical volatility percentiles are contracting here, and by the end of the week they will be pretty much fully contracted. And from there you can only really have expansion. So looking at this, I think that all these things are really lining up for a big move this week, and I won't really call it to the upside or the downside right now. I do think that the upside actually becoming a little bit more likely, but even the hourly, right? We've been contracting steadily ever since December, middle of December right here. Just run a regression line through here, and you can see that again, just kind of extrapolating this to the end of the week, the end of the first week in January. That's when this starts to get extremely tight. So somewhere right around here, we are very likely to break. Another thing agreeing with that. So yeah, it's a lot of things lining up, and I do think that I think that very short term, could we have another move back down to like 7,250, 7,300? Yeah, I'm not too married to that, but I do think that Bitcoin is going to test 7,600 again, 7,650ish region again. As it stands, we do see hourly Stokes crossing back up, having a fresh cross. What about bi-hourly Stokes? Still coming down, so we have a little bit of bifurcation here. What about 3-hour coming down, 4-hour going to be coming down as well? Okay, so hourly is the odd man out. So actually, they're more or less on the downside. But perhaps a small pop up now, come back down, fill the gap, and then we will see where we're at from there. And it does look like Bitcoin wants to test up a little bit more. Okay, cool. How long have we been doing this? 22 minutes? Holy shit, man. I am already massively misusing my time. Looking at the Bitcoin VWAP ratio, still overall bearish, showing more bearish things. I do want to bring up once again, though, that gold. And gold's open for the trading week, I believe. Gold had a phenomenal weekly close. In fact, gold actually broke the falling channel to the upside. So, I mean, this is more of a bull flag than a falling channel, in fact. And measure move on this actually would be pointing us up on a more conservative rate towards 1,600. So, I do think that gold ultimately will make its way up there. I do think that gold is bullish here, and the reason why that's relevant to Bitcoin is for the reason that I've been showing the last few days. The correlation coefficient shows that Bitcoin and gold are pretty heavily correlated or decently correlated on a weekly closing schedule. And this purple histogram right here showing that more or less, we can look at them as on the macro trending together. And this one is uptrending right here. We see weekly Stokes, fresh cross up, holding the same trend line that would going all the way back on over here from the lows essentially. See weekly RSI. Weekly RSI is very, very good here. I really like this read. And I do think that it has more to go. Now, of course, you're going to probably see some resistance right around 1540, 1550-ish region, your prior high. But overall, this looks good to me. And we're probably going to be having a pretty damn good monthly close on this one. Yes, indeed. I mean, this is a traditional bull flag right here. This is it's like an actual bull flag. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, 1600 does look very much within striking distance, and we see great curvature here. And this is what Wyckoff accumulation actually does look like. Also, keep in mind that this happens over the course of 5 fucking years. Well, actually 6 years. People talking about Wyckoff accumulation and distribution over the course of days or Jesus Christ hours. In the way that I understand it, that is nowhere near correct. And what do we see here? Monthly RSI, very, very good, I'd say. Very, very good. So overall, that does bode well for Bitcoin, historically speaking. And yeah, let's go check out Bitcoin dominance for a second. Bitcoin dominance, what do we have here? Well, we can't ever load this fucking chart, can we? It's like they don't even want you to know how dominant Bitcoin is. Bitcoin's fucking dominatrix, going to whip all these bad altcoins into shape right here, right now. But just wait while we load the chart. God damn it. Come on, you fucking... Sorry, I almost said the C word again. That one YouTube algorithm does not like at all. Okay, for real. Why is this not working? Okay, well, you know what? Go fuck yourself. Let's go look at total market cap instead. I'm curious what this one's looking like. I remember that there's a few things of interest I wanted to speak about very briefly. You motherfucker and your unloading tendencies. You unloading fuck! There we go. You just got to sweet talk it, and that's key. Still have the declining tops here, but it does look like it really does look like it wants to open back up. Daily Stokes up, daily RSI resilient. However, more importantly for daily Stokes, we are breaching this long-term trend line right here and maintaining above it. So a little bit of turbulence within this region, but it does look like Bitcoin wants to curl around and probably, this is total market cap, but Bitcoin pretty much drives the whole fucking thing. Longer term, let's go off a weekly, and I do want to show this. The weekly actually did come all the way down to the 200 exponential moving average right here. Phenomenal response from that area. And, after putting in a low like this, we're probably going to go test some upside. I'm not necessarily calling this the reversal, but I do think that we more than likely test upside from this region, over the next month or two. Before any sort of more downside potential testing, I suppose. Anyways, let's go look at some forexes right now, as traditional markets have not changed because we haven't really seen them open up. Euro looking very good, very, very good. I do think that this is ultimately going to get extension to like 113 and 113 and a half. This looks like a good short-term reversal, a nice following channel. Now starting to put in a nice higher low, and I do believe that we have a higher high here, 111.83. 112. Yep. Okay, so we do. So I do think that this is going to kind of whip its way back around. We do see weekly Stokes looking nice and strong here. We see weekly Jewel actually telling you to buy the low on 30th of September. So that was literally on the low, and then giving you a continuation hodl your long signal right here. So I'm going to trust that one. Weekly RSI is neutral, so this is one of the times where I want to see the Jewel shine through and tell me what to do, baby. And in fact, actually converted a lot of my dollars into euros recently for that reason. For full disclosure. Anyways, I think that's about, maybe we could go look at pound yen really quick. 143.16. Does look like we're going to play out a little bit of a bouncy upside here. I do think that longer term we are looking at a major high being put in, and I would stick with this being a major high being put in as long as we are closing weekly dildos below 146, which is the 200x benchmark average. As long as we're closing weeklies below there, I do think that this is ultimately going to be a massively lower high, and we do come all the way back down to like 138 and maybe even lower than that. But very short to medium term, I do think that it pops back up maybe somewhere around like 144 and a half, 144.4. So somewhere around there looks about right. So very, very short term up, longer term probably continuation of the downside is what I'd be looking for. What else do we have? I think that pretty much does it. I guess we can briefly look at Buterol and Litecoin. Buterol, decent close yesterday. Still, very, very strong downtrend here, but can rally up all the way to 143.5 easily. And if Bitcoin does test 76.50ish region. I would imagine it probably does get back around there. What about Mrs. Litecoin? 44 and a quarter. Mrs. Litecoin actually looking a lot better than Buterol here, getting a consecutive open and close of above the 21. And I do think that we probably work our way up towards about 45 bucks, 44 and 3/4. Not calling like a huge move here. Maybe 46 bucks, something like that. Somewhere in this region. It looks to me like most of the market wants to bounce here. So I'm going to start to wrap up Bitcoin. Keep this one nice and short and sweet. 30 minutes. I've almost hit the 30-minute mark, which is pretty damn good, man. Not so bad. Anyways, looking at this right here, we do see daily accurately getting everything. I would say that any sort of a daily total close above 7,300 and more or less good, especially considering that tomorrow's going to be the monthly close, does set up Bitcoin for likely a nice move to about 76, maybe 76.50, something like that. If we can close a daily dildo above 75.50, which is actually before that range, of course, then I would look for overall extension into the mid to low 8,000s as dictated by this descending broadening wedge right here. Target would be in that region. Of course, an area of interest would be looming right overhead, about 78 to 7,900. So I would look for a small pullback there. Into the downside, same area applies as the last month and a half, 2 months. As long as we're above 6,900, hard to play the downside, even though we're on a downtrend, even though, a lot of things do say down here. I would still be cognizant of that area. If we do break that area, then yes, I would target a move towards 61 to 6,200, probably bounce along the way, most likely 6,600, 6,500-ish region, and then continuation. But for right now, it's looking more and more likely that Bitcoin's, going to be resilient in this region. I would wait for tomorrow's monthly close. That's going to be very, very enlightening to what Bitcoin wants to do over the longer period of time. And of course, in the lower term time frames, I don't feel all that confident in lower term timeframes right now. But what I would say is, we have a gap down around here, right around 7,250, 7,300, come back down and fill there, more or less expected in the sense. By the same token, as long as we're above this prior low right here, especially on CMEs, and I would actually only look at CMEs on this one. I do not care what spot is doing because spot's kind of wonky in the way that it's acting. But on CMEs, we see a clear we see a clear 3 higher lows, low, higher low right here. So as long as we hold this last prior low at about 7,200, a little bit above there, but as long as we hold it above there without ticking below, more or less, I think that Bitcoin just floats its way up. If we do violate this area, if we do violate 7,200 on CMEs, not on spot, but on CMEs, and there is a pretty big premium right now, then I would look for a move back down to test 6,900-ish region. So that's what I'm looking at for right now. I think I'm going to close it right there. That's a good time to kind of get off. I'll be getting on to Twitch live stream right after this. I want to say I love you. Where did that one come from? Well, I do love you, but I feel like I missed some sort of announcement. Whatever, man. We'll fucking figure it out in Discord. Take care, and until next time.